A flat discount, say 10% off everything, doesn't necessarily give a retailer any reason to order more, but a tiered discount does. Hey there, and welcome to the Wholesale Huddle. I'm Stephanie Smith, busy mom of three, founder of Product Partner Co., and owner of Birch House Games and Gifts, a handmade wooden board game company doing multi-six figures on the wholesale platform Faire. Each episode I share from my own firsthand experiences, or I sit down with other wholesale sellers who are actively building and thriving on Faire. We dive deep to talk about what's working, what's not, and the lessons we're learning along the way. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to wholesale, but learning about what's working for other sellers can help us make better decisions in our own businesses. So get cozy, grab your favorite notebook, and come join our Wholesale Huddle. Hey, Faire friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Wholesale Huddle. I'm so excited to invite you to join me for our first episode of our 5-week summer market prep series. We're doing something a little different this time, and full disclosure, I'm doing it too. I am prepping for this same summer market with my own shop, Birch House Games and Gifts. So this isn't me coaching from the sidelines. We're going to go through this guide side by side, and I'm really, really excited to do this with you. So this is episode 1 of the market prep series. It's a 5-part bonus series leading right up to the Faire market, which this summer is going to be July 20th through the 23rd. So every week we're tackling one section of my 2026 Faire market prep guide together. If you haven't grabbed that guide yet, it is free over at productpartnerco.com. I will put the link in the show notes for you, but it will make the next 4 weeks a lot easier for you to follow along with. So here's the deal. I'm not just going to read the guide to you. That would be really boring. And you can read the PDFs on your own time. But what I want to do each week is walk through kind of the big ideas. I want to add personal insights, maybe the why behind certain things that I decided to include in the prep guide, and just giving you kind of some clear next steps as we're getting ready for this upcoming market. So today, we're going to cover week 1, which is the brand brainstorming and outreach prep. So segment 1 is our pre-market brainstorm. So the first thing in the guide is that pre-market brainstorm worksheet. And I want you to actually do this one, okay? Not just listen to me talk about it. Grab a notebook, pull up the worksheet, print it out, whatever works for you. And just remember, this isn't homework. I didn't design this to just be like busy work, okay? It's really supposed to serve as a pulse check on where you're at right now. So don't overthink it or let it sit on your to-do list forever. Just if it's something that you feel like you can dedicate a few minutes to, I think it's going to be really helpful for you. And a few honest minutes is really all that this needs. So it's going to walk us through 5 areas. It's going to be our sales and revenue goals, our marketing and promotions, our product and inventory planning, buyer experience and conversion, and our mindset and strategy. Okay, these are all things that we just want to kind of wrap our head around as we prepare for these next 4 weeks leading up to the market. So let's dive in and think through these together. So let's talk about goals. I don't want you to just write down a random number. Don't pull a random number out of thin air. I want you to go back and look, write down your last summer market's numbers, okay? Specifically the summer market, because as we know, summer and winter markets, they kind of are different. We see different things happening between those markets. So if you can just go through, see what those numbers looked at, and then write that number down. If you don't know what you did last time, you can't really tell how you're doing in comparison to that when this market comes around. And I see a lot of sellers kind of chasing a really vague, I just want more sales goal instead of a real benchmark. So for Birch House, that's exactly what I'm going to do this week. I'm going to go pull up my numbers from last summer market, see what I actually did, and build my goal around there. Now, I want to add something here. In general, sales are down across Faire right now, okay? There are outlying businesses that are seeing a boom in business. In general, sales are down. And so we want to make sure that we are taking that into consideration, okay? Revenue alone isn't necessarily going to be a fair measuring stick for this market. And so I think it would be helpful for us to make room for non-revenue based goals too. New retailer connections made, pitches that are sent, a Faire site that finally feels ready for fall shopping. Okay. And if this is your first market or you haven't landed that first sale yet, this part is for you especially. Okay. A win might just be 5 real customer outreach pitches or a really good conversation with a potential buyer. Okay. These count towards those goals just as much as a sales number does. So, quick heads up before we keep moving. The guide's next section is marketing and promotions, but we're going to save that because it's going to be its own segment. So, we'll get to that in a few minutes. But for now, let's skip ahead to product and inventory. So, product and inventory. Take a minute to really think through your product line and consider the seasonality of your product line. We don't want to miss out just because we didn't think far enough ahead or you ran out of holiday inventory. Okay. If we're prepping for the summer market, generally we're going to be promoting fall and holiday collections for our retailers to purchase. Okay. So retailers are buying ahead, as we know. So summer market generally is going to be their time to stock up on holiday purchasing. So if your shop's still looking like spring or it's looking like summer, you're going to lose the sale potentially to someone whose shop already feels seasonally relevant. So this is really important for us to consider, as well as being prepared with our inventory for fall purchasing. All right, let's talk about buyer experience. I want you to walk through, this is just a quick little skim, okay? Walk through your own Faire shop like a stranger would or a buyer would. Is your cover photo current, seasonally applicable? Does your About section actually tell a story and express what your brand is all about and what makes you so special? We'll spend a whole chunk of time on this in week 3, so don't stress about going through and fixing all of those things right now. I just want you to kind of make a note of the areas that you know you'll need to adjust so that you can kind of have that in the back of your mind as we approach week 3. Okay, and then lastly, let's talk about mindset. This is one that people skip, myself included, and the one that I think matters the most. So, what did you learn from your last market? All right, we only have markets twice a year, and so we need to be learning from them every opportunity that we have, and taking new information and ideas from them. So, what would you do differently? I ask myself this every single market, even after doing this for years. Okay, last time I underestimated how fast our best-selling game would move, and I was underprepared in having a certain wood type in stock for fulfilling that demand. So that's already kind of baked into my plan this round to make sure that I'm well stocked on that product, right? So sit with that for a second before you move forward. You're not starting from zero. You're building, unless you're brand new, but you're building on what you already know. Okay. And there is information to take from everything. All right, let's dive into segment number 2, setting our promotion. So let's talk about your offer. The guide is going to talk about 2 different options that we have. That is a flat discount or a tiered discount. And I'll be pretty straightforward. I almost always recommend a tiered discount. A flat discount, say 10% off everything, doesn't necessarily give a retailer any reason to order more, but a tiered discount does. So something like 6% off orders over $150, 10% off orders over $300, 15% off orders over $500. That structure rewards bigger orders and creates urgency. So retailers are starting to do the math. They're thinking, if I add 2 more items, I hit the next tier. That's a good problem for you to hand them, right? So as a quick reminder, while you're thinking through your discount, Faire will match your discount up to 5%. So a 15% offer doesn't have to come entirely out of your pocket. It's not going to come entirely out of your pocket. That will be funded 10% by you and 5% funded by Faire, which is why in my example, I said 6% for tier 1, because that would be 3% from you, 3% from Faire. I like to include the entire amount as I'm announcing my promotion, because I have found that retailers are not always completely up to speed on what the Faire match looks like, and they don't want to take the time to have to do the math. And so I just tell them the full amount. In a lot of my promotions, I might, if I'm going to offer 15% as my highest tier, for example, I will just say sales up to 15%, right? Because there's going to be tiers. So this week, I want you to actually set your tiers or your flat rate discount, okay? In fact, you'll want to set your promotion by June 29th in order to be included in the Faire Market Directory email that Faire sends its retailers, okay? They have a big email blast that they send out to their retailers saying, here are the shops that are participating in the summer market. And so you'll need to get that set by June 29th if you want to be included in that. So don't leave this until week 4. Get this finalized because we need this finalized before all of our outreach goes out, okay? Because your tiers, your discount are landing on physical and digital outreach, which brings me to the next segment. Segment number 3 is physical outreach planning. Physical outreach planning, okay? This is one of my favorite parts of the guide and the part that people skip the most because it feels old school. Postcards, pitch packages, packaging inserts, okay? In a world where everybody's inbox is full, a postcard in the mail still gets noticed. I won't read you the whole checklist. It's in the guide and worth printing out. But here's what I think matters most. If you decide that you want to do some sort of postcard outreach, the 2 non-negotiables are a QR code straight to your Faire shop with your Faire direct link, okay? And a clear, specific call to action. Not just a check us out, but more of a scan here to shop our market deal, which is going to go on my own postcards for Birch House, okay? I did this in the past. I'm doing it again. A specific call to action will beat a vague one every time. If you decide that you want to do pitch packages, then the thing that really would move the needle there is a small product sample. Please note, though, the cost for this adds up quickly. I am not a huge proponent of pitch packages unless it is for an absolute dream retailer. Okay, a dream retailer that you're like, this is worth it. Okay, for example, we just went to Waco, Texas this weekend, and we went to the Dr. Pepper Museum. Who doesn't want to sell to the Dr. Pepper Museum? So you better believe I made a Tic Tac soda board with Dr. Pepper pieces and Texas pieces specifically for them. We'll see what comes of it, but I walked in there, I asked for their manager, I handed her the product, I gave her my card, and we'll see what happens. But I don't do that often unless it is someone that I really want to partner with. Okay, so pitch packages, we're saving those for really top level retailers that we're wanting to reach out to, okay? Or we can use it as a treat to your already top performing retailers that you're trying to re-engage with for the market. This lets a retailer experience your product before they've ordered, and that builds trust really fast. So pair it with a short personal note with their name on it, and it feels genuinely different from a mass mailer. Okay, and then I want to talk about packaging inserts. I'm mentioning this now because if you're going to order any pitching materials that are going to be printed, you might as well get an order in for packaging inserts at the same time. So one of the biggest things people forget is the review ask. And I can't say this enough. Reviews are one of the biggest factors in your visibility on Faire. So if you only do one thing from this whole section, put a clear, kind ask for a review in every package that goes out this market. Okay, that can be in the form of a thank you card, packaging insert. Also, you can print out the QR code on your actual invoice that you're putting in your package. Circle it and write thank you. Okay. Even on the days I'm shipping dozens of packages, I will take the time to go and circle the QR code and say thank you in hopes that they will leave a review. Okay. And you can do that on your back end in case you don't know yet. In your admin, you can go in and select that you want a QR code on the invoices, the packing slips when you print them out. So that's week 1. Complete your brainstorm worksheet, lock in your offer, and get your outreach materials moving. Postcards ordered, pitch packages planned, inserts designed. You don't have to do all of it. Pick what fits your brand and your bandwidth and do that well. So next week, we're moving into week 2, social media and email content. I'll walk you through exactly which platforms are worth your time right now and a 5 email roadmap you can use to connect with retailers, build hype, and get the word out about your awesome shop. Until then, you've got a cheerleader in your corner, one who's filling out this exact same worksheet right alongside you. We're in this together, and I'm cheering you on always. One more thing before I go. If you're looking for more ways to grow together, that's exactly what I'm here for. Head to productpartnerco.com to see how we can team up from quick wins to full Faire makeovers, and come hang out with me on Instagram at productpartnerco. I'm sharing real talk and real strategy there every week, cheering you on always.